The metaphor for consuming content is not strictly a theory, but one used for convenience. It brings with it unintended consequences when we are discussing media, as the way that we talk about something shapes our understanding of what it is, and ultimately the way we think of how it works. As cultural theorist Stuart Hall, who we will be discussing extensively in this video, points out, reality exists outside language, but it is constantly mediated by and through language, and what we can know and say has to be produced in and through discourse. The extension of the consumption metaphor is that media is ingested into us, digested by us, and ultimately affects us in some way. We have a media diet, and we are what we eat. There has the potential within this metaphor for there to be good and bad media which is improving, and media which corrupts. The subtext of seeing media as consumable good is that we as the audience simply get out of the media what was put in there by the person who made it. The audience are passive receptors of the work that they consume, and their understanding of it is down to how explicitly the creator has infused it with meaning, whatever that may be. It is therefore a failure of the producer if the meaning has not been understood, and this has the potential to have a profound impact on the production process, as meaning must be clearly and concisely delivered to the viewer within the text in order for it to be seen as a successful piece within this model. Writing about television in the 1960s and 1970s, Stuart Hall was frustrated that the media was seen as packages of predetermined meaning. In his essay Encoding and Decoding, Hall's suggestion is that it is far more complicated than this, and that both creating and understanding meaning within a piece of media is actually a complex and active process at every stage. Hall stated that when media is made, it is encoded in a complex meaning-making system that exists prior to the media itself, which is informed by a variety of things, such as the ideologies of those producing it, what is successful within the marketplace that it is going to be released into, what are the desires of it upon its release, and the conventions and limitations of the medium that it is being released on, just to name a few factors which influence it. Meaning is mainly encoded purposefully by the producer, but it can also occur accidentally, or simply as the result of being made by people who have subconsciously placed meaning within the work. Once the media has been made, it is then released into the world as a product, where audiences are able to use it. Hall suggests that this process of using media is called decoding, and it is in the decoding that we gain the meaning from the work. However, as Hall states, encoding and decoding may not be perfectly symmetrical. This is him suggesting that a viewer does not have to take the intended meaning of the piece as gospel, and may find their own meaning within the work. For Hall, the decoding process is an active one, which requires an audience to participate in the process of discovering meaning within the piece of media. According to Hall, there are three ways that an audience can decode the meaning of a text. These are: dominant. This is where the audience fully accepts the preferred meaning, showing that they agree with the dominant values encoded into the piece. Negotiated, where an audience takes a position where they only agree with some, not all of the preferred meaning, and are willing to take what they want from the piece and discard what they disagree with or choose to ignore. Finally, there is oppositional, which has an audience understand the preferred meaning of the text, but decide to reject this or make their own interpretation, which is either counter to the meaning encoded, or is a meaning which was entirely unintended by the producer. The benefit of this model is that it places the audience as a core component within the meaning-making process. They purposefully are interacting with the media messages and are able to gain a framework in which they are able to discuss how and why they have arrived at their understanding of a message from something that they have engaged with. Unlike the model of consumption, it allows for an audience to have nuanced, conflicting, or even deliberately contrary views to the dominant reading of a piece. Furthermore, one viewer may be able to see potentially 2 or even 3 readings of the same text, each of them just as valid as the other one. In addition, the model also liberates the producers of media from the tyranny of understanding, as it is not solely their job to make the dominant meaning of their work explicit, and are free to be much more subtle and expressionistic with the messages that they encode into their work. So, when completing your "What have you been watching this week" task, try and begin to frame your discussion around Hall's reception theory. What meaning do you think has been encoded into the work that you are watching? How have you decoded that meaning? Were you dominant, negotiated, or oppositional to the preferred meaning of the piece? And do you think that that has impacted on the way that you viewed it?